most of the conflicts inside relationships is going to come from these five different areas, directly or indirectly. Um, One obvious is individuality on the individual level. If people feel like they're compromising themselves, it's going to spark a conflict somewhere in the relationship. The mirroring aspect, when individuals stop looking, when they start, when they are not able to see themselves in each other, it's going to spark a conflict. The attraction that we share is from the mirroring aspect. We see or resonate with a piece of ourselves within inside each other. So when that begins to get blurry, right, or that picture begins to change, then the mirroring effect in inside the relationship is going to drive the conflicts. The communication piece, that's obvious. When there's a breakdown, when we're stonewalling, when we're um, defensive, we're in a state of being criticizing, or when we feel like we're being heard, all these different descriptive things that falls up under the communicative house, is going to drive the conflicts. And so, and then also it takes away from the intimacy, as I said before. When you look at finances, and I'm gonna share something with you, because I'm privileged to travel the country, regularly, you know, weekly. And I say over the last 4 years easily, I just kind of been doing just a personal little poll with women. And I'll ask them in sincerity, it's like, hey, if you were financially sufficient where you want to be and had a level of financial flexibility, would you still choose the lovers that you have had in your life? Would you choose them as the same? And almost, alarming, most of them in high percent was like, no. And so that's the finance piece has a factor in our choices. Okay. And that rolls over to the last part, the relating piece. And so I was asking that question to a lot of women, and because that will dictate how they relate. They'll dictate what type of structure they'll choose that they find themselves being able to relate in. And at the same time, it's not exempt from men because men also will begin to choose differently based off of their financial reality, right? In terms of a woman they might try to pursue, a woman that he feel like he deserve, or a woman, whatever different motivations around that men come from in that space. So we can't be deep and play that finances don't have a factor. It holds a major weight because the reality is most relationships, as y'all hear me say many different times before, very few are actually relating. More people are more in survival mode, and they're just not admitted to each other. So that relating piece I'm talking about, that's what it comes. That's what's up under that house is the survival part versus relating part, and unfortunately, majority are in the survival part. They're not admitted to each other, and because they're not admitting that, it's driving the conflicts. So I was asked if what to do to how to what I'll focus in on to try to reverse the direction of consistent conflicts. I would definitely focus on the individuality piece. So I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to look at the mirroring effect. First of all, looking at yourself, right? Because that breeds a level of self accountability and an insight into yourself. It could be an insight into the person you're relating to or those that you're relating with. Also, the communication piece, the finance piece, and the relating piece. If you focus in on those, um, you increase your chances to bring improvement into your relationship, but also to change the excessive conflicts that you might find yourself falling into. So if you want to get out the vortex of having um, a lot of arguments and all this clashing, all the negative stuff that kind of can come with relationships, I highly encourage you to focus on these five things: individuality, mirroring, right? Communication, finances, and relating. Put to practice and see the results.